Hey everyone, it's Esabelle and welcome back to my channel. So last week we talked about basic tips for meeting our goals, but we all know, for anyone who has ever tried to set a resolution and stick with it, it can be butt kicking.
That's rough, buddy.
But you do not succeed if you don't fail a few times. It's time for some more advanced tactics. And please also check out part 1 for the basics because it preludes this video. Number 1, group similar habits. If you have very similar tasks that you are trying to accomplish, try to do them all together. Anytime I will take any of, say, like my vitamins or my fish pills, I try to do all of that together because that way it's not like, okay, well I have to try to take my fish pills at this time of day
and then I have to remember another time whenever I take my vitamins, whenever I take my vitamin D gummies.
It is so good just to have a time to do it all together, and you do not have that mental weight of trying to make sure that you get all of that at just some random point during the day. And I also try to do that around the time of a meal. Ever since I started doing this, it has been so much easier. This habit is going to take a little bit of creative thinking, and because it has to be very customized to what are your goals and what does your schedule look like, it's going to be so much more streamlined. Number 2, make accomplishments visual. What this may look like is having, say, an item like a marble or paper clips, something in one jar at the beginning of every day. If you have so many tasks that you have to get done, especially if they're repetitive tasks, this works well. And every time you hit one of your goals or get another task accomplished, go ahead and drop one item from one jar into the other. This could also look like putting a check on your calendar for each time that you accomplish something each day. One area that I have applied in my life recently that is so wonderful, I'm so glad they make these, is I purchased one of those giant water bottles that helps you to keep track of how much water you should be having in a day. Do your research on how much you should be drinking for your body type, and then use that bottle to track it. Only fill it up to the point that you would need to drink to get your daily consumption, and then watch that water go down. It is so satisfying. I am drinking so much more water the past, I'd say, about a month and a half. No, this video is not sponsored. I just genuinely find it helpful because I am the worst about parching myself, and I've been struggling with it for years, so that really says something. 3, use commitment devices. In the last video, we talked about setting goals whenever our willpower is the strongest, and that way whenever our willpower is weak, then we already have a system in place for meeting those goals. This is taking it one step further. Say, what if you have a gambling problem? There are such things as ban lists at casinos. You can request that your name is put on that ban list, and that way they will kick you out if they find you in there. You have made it impossible for yourself to get in there. For online gambling sites, you could block those sites. And I think they also, at least some of them also have ban lists. Don't even get near that temptation. Run away from temptation. You could also do it in the form of buying small bags of chips and your favorite snacks instead of having this big bag in front of you and you can just keep munching and before long it's completely gone. Change your identity. Now this one is going to take a lot of explaining, so please bear with me. If you think of yourself a certain way, you are going to fall in line with it.
I'm the bad guy. I don't save the day. I don't fly off into the sunset.
You could also rebel against it, but you're still going to have some kind of reaction to what it is you and others think about you. But never fear, you can use this to your advantage. Say you want to get into running. Don't just think, well, I need to go running. Think of yourself as a runner. Let that become a part of who you are. You are going to start adapting to what that identity says about you. Now, this also works in reverse. If you do not want to engage in a certain behavior or associate yourself with being a certain type of person, then do not take up the title, the identity that comes with that. For example, if you're trying to stop smoking, Don't think of yourself as a smoker, because that is part of your identity if you say, I am a smoker. But if you say, I am someone who sometimes smokes, that is giving yourself distance, both emotionally and mentally, from a behavior. You are saying that this is something I do, but not something that I am. I'd like to go into a few caveats about this one. A, do not become so enmeshed in this identity that it starts to blind you from your weak spots. I think we have all known people who are so enamored with thinking of themselves as being a certain way or put in a certain role that they lose track of,
hey, if you are not carrying out your responsibilities that come along with this role, then you are not that identity anymore.
You don't want to just lie to yourself. If the identity that you take on empowers you to get those results, that's what we want. But if it is blinding you from reality and keeping you from those results, please do not get confused on that point. We will talk more about reflection and realignment at the end of this video. Please stick around for that because that is so important for anchoring all the rest of these habits. B, please form multiple identities of yourself in certain roles, like your career and various types of relationships. You do not want all of yourself hinged upon one identity, being one thing. Like some people get very caught up in, a good example would be athletics. And this is how they see themselves overarchingly. They put all their eggs in one basket in terms of who they are. And what if they're injured? They age out of it and they can no longer be in that role. And then they go through this identity crisis.
What's going to happen now that I can't do this particular thing that I identified myself as?
So please be aware that you will have and should have multiple identities in your life. C, do make sure that all of these identities in your life do align the same way. They always follow your core value system. That is so important for living an honest, integrity-filled life. D, be flexible in how you view your identity. Say you consider yourself a painter. Maybe instead of just saying I'm a painter, say,
well, I am a creative, flexible individual who expresses myself in an original way.
Looking at all the skills that make you a good painter can open your mind toward new opportunities and new avenues, because people who are creative and flexible and express themselves freely, they're not just painters. They can go in any art field, even some tech fields. I mean, even just working with people takes those skills. So avoid trapping yourself into a very niche identity, because you might actually be good at many things if you just took a harder look at the core skills and talents that make you good in that one area. Oftentimes, you'll be good at many areas if you just open your eyes to them. Number 5, choose your company carefully. Now this one is kind of cliche. They always say, oh, watch the company you keep. But this is true. So I think it is worth repeating. Please minimize time with people who have undesirable lifestyles. And I'm also going to mention this other aspect that is not as talked about, but still so important. In the same way that we just talked about making your identity something you want to live up to, ultimately, also minimize your time with people who are going to trap you in identities you do not want for yourself.
You are a worthless street rat. You were born a street rat. You'll die a street rat.
If the world's only gonna see a fox as shifty and untrustworthy, there's no point in trying to be anything else.
This is extremely true for empaths like myself. I'm an INFJ, and I tend to feel what other people are feeling, and because I identify so easily with people, I can kind of sense what it is that people think of me and the role that they're putting me in, and subconsciously I will start to absorb that role. One big caveat here. This does not mean that you shelter yourself from people who are honest with you.
It's time for you to look inward and begin asking yourself the big questions. Who are you?
They believe in you, they believe in your growth, and that's why they are honest with you, because you need to know what you need to change. If it's that kind of person that we are talking about here, then those are great people to have in your life. Number 6, accountability partners and habit contracts. Habit contracts mean that you formally commit to a habit along with witnesses, and you have people who hold you accountable for meeting that goal. Make sure that the commitment includes some kind of punishment if you do not meet those goals. Sometimes you will give people money. They have the right to keep that money if you don't meet a goal in a certain time frame. Some people will schedule posts like saying, "Hey, I'm lazy," on Twitter, and then that's going to go public if you don't get up in time to unschedule that tweet. You can find so many ways. Just be creative for how to challenge yourself and how other people can hold you accountable. Find habits that fit you. Some things that work for one may not work for another, and you want to have habits that you can make desirable. We talked about that in the first video. And one thing that is desirable to one may not be desirable to another. For example, I love dancing. It is a great form of exercise, but not everyone is going to like dancing. There are many forms of exercise like basketball and soccer, like that I would not prefer because I have no hand-eye coordination whatsoever. It needs to be tailored to you. We also have differences in how spontaneous we are versus how routinized we are. Your habits and hobbies need to work with your lifestyle and work with your personality. This is also why I find MBTI extremely important. Having some kind of framework for personality and understanding your strengths, weaknesses, preferences, habits. I highly recommend checking out my MBTI playlist. I will link that again during the end screen. I will also link the playlist in the pinned comment. But I do need to say that just because it fits you, that does not mean that you should expect it to be easy once you hit something that works for you. This still requires hard work, okay? Okay. This leads me to the next point, which is hit your stress sweet spot. Find a habit that has just the right amount of challenge. Believe it or not, there is a good type of stress. And that means that you are not bored in what you're doing, but you're also not challenging yourself to the point that it is impossible and discouraging to meet yourself on the level that you are currently at. Anything that is just above your current skill level is going to hit that stress sweet spot. Remember the objective behind an action. Now this is referencing Goodhart's law, which states, when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Say you are trying to become healthier, going to lose 10 pounds. But if the weight on the scale becomes all you are looking at, then you might go on these really crazy crash diets.
This is all your water weight. First you bloat and then you drop 10 pounds like that.
That is actually going to weaken you and make you more unhealthy. You might be losing weight, but you're not getting healthier, which is the whole objective. Using measures is a great way to keep on track, but just to make sure that the measure never usurps the objective that you are aiming for. Always keep your eyes on that main prize. 10. Value showing up. Never miss a habit twice. Say you are too tired to exercise whenever you come home one night. Only exercise for 1 minute, or to the length of one song. Something small. You can miss once, every now and then. That happens, that is human. Please don't beat yourself up if you miss once, but just don't make it a habit. Get back on that horse. Show up and do it for a small amount of time and keep that placeholder in your night. And last but not least, I did say that I would talk about how to reflect and review. You might ask yourself, what's been going right? What's going wrong? What did I learn? Are my measures of progress still aligned with the reason these measures exist? Have my core values or beliefs changed? Should my goals or measures change too? Please do a deep dive analysis of cause and effect here. The cause and effect between your habits and your lifestyle and your attitude, your behaviors, your choices, and the results that you get from them. Be very objective, very honest. You might also ask someone that you trust for an objective analysis of what you've been doing. They might actually be more objective than you could be with yourself. Most importantly though, whenever you are doing this, be kind to yourself. Be honest and be non-judgmental, because if you are judgmental or dishonest with yourself, those are going to be huge obstacles toward actually seeing clearly. It's not easy, But if you treat yourself in a non-judgmental way, I promise you, you will actually be more honest with yourself and meet your goals in a clear, more concise manner. And that is exactly what I want for you. That is a necessary part of living nothing less than your best life.
Okay, guys, bring it in.